So I'm going to call the meeting to order. Good evening, everyone. This is the November 9th meeting of the Planning Commission for the Town of Los Gatos. We are a body appointed by the Town Council to make decisions about zoning, planning, building issues in the Town of Los Gatos. And in order to do that, we read reports, we visit sites, we have public hearings, we ask questions, and we try to make a reasonable decision based on the policies of the Town of Los Gatos. So thank you for coming tonight. Our first item on our agenda is to call the roll. Ms. Bailey.
Commissioner Bourgeois?
Here.
Commissioner Smith?
Present.
Commissioner O'Donnell?
Here.
Commissioner Talsford?
Here.
Commissioner Erickson?
Here.
Vice Chair Jensen?
Here.
Chair Sayok has an excused absence.
Will everyone please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next item is written communications, and I don't believe we have any. Am I correct about that? Ms. Bailey, staff, anyone?
That's correct.
Okay. We have no requested continuances from our agenda tonight. I think we do have one subcommittee report. The members of the Planning Commission also serve on subcommittees involving land use issues in the town, in addition to being on the Planning Commission. So, Commissioner Bourgeois.
Yes, I'm happy to report that the General Plan Committee meeting met earlier this evening, and the purpose was to review the process for the development and adoption of affordable housing overlay zone standards and guidelines. As part of our recent general plan update, we adopted a new housing element which outlines the planning needed to accommodate the state-required affordable housing numbers, and so we've identified certain zones, and we're now developing development standards for those. So anyone interested in following that process, we're going to start kicking off the effort in earnest in January, so be on the lookout for General Plan Committee meetings in January and February. Thank
you, Commissioner Bourgeois. We have only one item on our agenda tonight, and that is 283 Shannon Oaks Lane. It's an appeal, so we have a little bit of a different process than we would normally follow. We usually have the applicant appear in front of us and make a presentation, and then public comments, and then the applicant can come again. But since it's an appeal, we call the appellant first, who has 5 minutes to give us a presentation regarding issues that they think are appropriate. And then we'll call the applicant, who also has 5 minutes. Any member of the public as well may speak. But before we do that, we do have a time allotted on our agenda for anyone that would like to address the Commission about something that is not on tonight's agenda. I've just told you what's on tonight's agenda. So if you'd like to talk about something other than Shannon Oaks Way, you may do so now. Okay. Seeing no one.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Ms. Smith.
I would just like to state that while I was not on the commission during the original hearing, I have reviewed all of the background material, and I am prepared for this evening.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. Commissioner Bourgeois, it's been pointed out to me that though I wasn't there, there was a North 40 Advisory Committee meeting that happened on November 3rd. Would you give us a brief update on that?
That is right. I forgot about that as well. I actually had to leave early for that meeting, but we met the North 40 Specific Plan Advisory Committee, it's a mouthful, is meeting to go over the development of a specific plan. It includes members of Council, Planning Commission, General Plan Committee, Community Services, and then specially appointed members of the community. And we started looking at the uses that would be appropriate to the site, as well as some of the height requirements for the site. And that process is ongoing, and there will be further meetings if you're interested in the North 40.
Thank you. So we will move on to item 1 on our agenda. First, we will have a staff report, and I'm looking to the Commission for anyone to give me a signal that they either have not read the staff report or they've not visited the site. I'm assuming everyone has. So given that, I would encourage Ms. Davis, if there's something that's not in our staff report that you'd like to add tonight, we would love to hear your report.
I don't have any additional information other than I had a request from Commissioner Tallis for some clarification on where the accessory building was proposed the first time around, and it may be a little bit difficult to see on that drawing. I put it in red. The hatched area is the structure location where it's currently proposed and approved, and in front of that, it's outlined with an X through it, is the location that was approved prior to that. So in the August 9th approval is that front, a little further forward on the site, and the September 13th approval is further back. It's about a 15-foot difference. The side setback is identical.
Commissioner Talsfor, is that sufficient to illustrate your question?
The house is would be above or north of that.
Let's wait till we get to the portion where it's your presentation.
No, it doesn't.
Okay. Ms. Davis, if you want to go up there and point it out, that'd be fine.
This is the location of the structure that was proposed at the first DRC meeting. This is the location of the structure that was approved at the second DRC meeting. The house is right here. So it's this is the side yard of the property.
Thank you very much. Yes.
I'll let Ms. Davis take her seat, and while she's doing that, does anyone else have any questions for her? Commissioner Bourgeois.
Yeah, I noticed the replacement trees for the 3 oak trees that would be coming out. It just says replacement box oak trees. And I know in the original planning for the whole development, a lot of thought and care went into the landscaping plan for this area. I just want to make sure that those indeed would be the same species that are being, because it's not specified, it just says oak trees. I want to make sure they're the same species that are being taken out.
Yeah, we can ensure that they're the same species. I think most of the oaks that went in were Coast Live oak.
Coast Live, yeah.
Other questions? And I've noticed in looking at my agenda, I'm sorry, I'm kind of creaky at running these meetings, that we do need to approve our minutes from October 26th, but remind me if I don't do that when we're done with this. So, other questions of Ms. Davis? Okay, thank you. The procedure I explained we're going to follow. Normally, what I'm going to ask you to do is there's little yellow cards, which you can either get from Ms. Rowlett, or you can get on the back of the benches, which you fill out with your name and address so that we can put in the record who has spoken to us so we can get your name right and record that correctly. So those of you that are planning to speak, if you would please obtain one of those cards, and before you leave tonight, fill it out and give it to Ms. Davis, Ms. Bailey, or our secretary. They should be on the back of the benches. They're yellow, buff-colored cards. So whoever will be representing the appellant and whatever representatives that appellant has brought with him or her, you have a cumulative 5 minutes to address the Planning Commission now, if you care to do so. If you don't care to do so, I won't call the appellant up. Is there an appellant here? Okay, all right. You can fill that out when you're done. Just give us your name and address. You have to go up there and tell us, and then hand in the card when you're done.
Say when.
When?
Okay. My name is Mike Ageloni, 17311 Hicks Road. I currently live on adjacent to the property. I was here for the 5 years as we worked out this PUD, and we were very clear that no accessory structures, and all the trees that are there now have been planted during the construction, so there's no native trees in the entire area where this proposed structure was. We had one of our corner lots request they build a small accessory structure behind their house where no one can see it. So we all agreed in the neighborhood, because no one can see this small art little studio, whatever they built there. I still haven't seen it, but it changed the whole rules of this place. So now, when I went to appeal this project, they say, oh, it passes all the rules. Rules that Suzanne Davis and the entire staff were very firm not to build accessory structures, nor ever build anything outside of this inner yard area, keeping everything natural. There were also size restraints on the entire average square footage of all the houses, and that was engineered, and they went right up to the limit. There was also garage square footage restrictions. 3-car garage, not a real big one, and that was done, and these are all conditions to approve the entire project. Now you guys are coming around and just throwing everything right out the door because one guy had a real good excuse and approval to build one item. So now he wants to build this monstrosity here. They wanted it way back here, and I don't want to be a bad neighbor. I said, let me show you the view real quick of it. He wanted to put it. Here's my view of the property, and here's the concern. As you can see, I have a nice view of the mountains. This is the view from my kitchen, and I can see everything. They want to put it this big 14.5-foot structure, and this should be right up exactly how the wood structure now that you already saw shows. As you can see, it blocks a lot of the view. But I didn't want to be a bad neighbor. I said, just move it to the right so I don't have to see it. Well, I'm going to always see it, but at least I get more of my view. The contractor that was there said, no problem. And they, even though I, didn't want the whole structure at all, I was just all improvise. And they said they would move it up to the driveway so he couldn't park his motorhome here. And so that would give it out of the area. It was right up the driveway. And I said, good compromise, we're fine. And they approved it to here. And then they came back later and they said they don't want it there. They'll move it a little bit over. And that's truly unacceptable. So protect me, protect your words, protect the 5 years of hell we went through. There's nothing more to say. I don't want the project at all, actually, but I will compromise and put it up against there because I know that motorhome's going to go there, and I know it's going to block my view. And imagine waking up in the morning and seeing that when you're having your coffee. This big monstrosity that you guys promised would never, ever happen. And here it is happening right here. Thanks, Los Gatos. Deny this application.
Let me see if there's any questions for you. Commissioner O'Donnell.
I was out there yesterday, I guess, so I want to get myself zeroed in right. No problem identifying the property because they had a story pulled.
Yes.
But on Hicks, and as you go around the corner of Hicks to Shannon, there's a large water tank.
That's my tank.
Okay, and there's a pool house.
Correct.
So you
Pool house. The pool house, you mean the gazebo?
look like
In front of it to block the
so
view of the
There's a
tank.
building right by your pool, and there's a fairly large water tank, right?
Yes, that was by code. I had to do it. It's been there 15 years, long before the project, and it was under county.
What's the height of the water tank?
No idea.
It's more than 20 feet, isn't it?
I would imagine 21 feet.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Other questions? Thank you, sir. You'll have a chance to come back. Is the applicant or his representative present? And you can hand that in here. And you and or whoever else you brought to speak has a cumulative 5 minutes now.
Good evening. My name is Joel Heimlich, 283 Shannon Oaks Lane. I appreciate the opportunity to come in and talk to the Planning Commission. I don't want to waste your time going back through and rehashing what the appeal says. So I'd like to take the opportunity. I'm happy that everyone is out there, but I'd like to also take the opportunity, if I may, to show you a little bit more. Apologize, the color isn't so good. So this is the satellite view from Google, nothing I've made up. And as you can see, Mr. Aljani's home, the back of it is here. It's hard to see, but there is actually a pool here. And there is a whole backyard full of trees. The picture that Mr. Aljani showed where I was blocking his view, from my perspective, unless he used a zoom lens, was taken somewhere in this neighborhood here, I'm going to say 20 or 30 feet from the solar. Now, if he used a zoom lens and went between these two trees, he's certainly welcome to do that. But the reality of it is, his house is back here. This is his kitchen. So, First thing I want to point out, the reason he doesn't have trees here is he has solar. I understand that completely. And as any good neighbor does, I have solar over here also. I'd like to take the opportunity to move over here and show you, if I may, and it'll take just a second for it to come in focus. This is Hicks Road right down here. This is Mr. Aljani's property here. And as you can see, there is the hills, the view that he is stating that I'm blocking. In matter of fact, I'm not blocking any of that hill at all. There's a hill to the right. So if we scroll over here, he's saying I'm going to block this hill over here. Now, if we take and we zoom in and we back up a little bit, this is my house right here. So for those of you who are out there, you saw the story poles, and you could see that the story poles in relation to the tall tree that the arborist has said, you know, if we all possible, we should save. It's minute compared to the tree. To take it one step further, if I may, I'll take you around to the backside of my property. And again, we're up on Mountain Laurel. This is the view into Mr. Aljani's backyard. And if you zoom in the middle of his house, he has a whole oasis of non-native trees. Specifically, he's got palm trees. Fine, no problem with that. However, that view where we're standing right here is looking straight out, slight angle, I apologize, slight angle, but that's the primary view that he has. The view he's trying to depict to you, as you've seen when you were out there, is one where it's to the right, and it's a very minuscule amount of hill we would view, or we would block. So, again, I'm just trying to bring some perspective from the top down, because I appreciate you guys going out there. But if you move around, first of all, I live in the Shannon Valley Ranch, and the Shannon Valley Ranch it's an HOA, not allowed to have motorhomes. So wherever this is coming from, I can't tell you, but we're not allowed to have them, so there won't be a motorhome there. Secondly, again, the proposed location snuggles up against this fence line, and we're actually, in our drawings, we've proposed to open the fence up, dive it in some more, so that we could have a little bit of space to the side of the structure. So I'm happy to answer any questions, elaborate on any point that you may have.
Okay, thank you, sir. Are there questions? Commissioner Talsfor.
Can you please explain to us what you meant by to snuggle up the building?
Sure.
And also, my second question, I'll just tap it on here.
Sure.
You can roll it in, is you were planning on planting 3 new trees?
Yeah.
Can you show
Sure.
us specifically where those will be planted?
Absolutely.
At 36-inch box, correct?
Yeah, what we did was we actually contacted a company that's going to come out, and they're going to use a 90-inch spade, and they're going to remove the existing ones so we don't, waste them, and we're going to replant them. We would replant them somewhere back in this area. You can see, to answer your first question, this is the fence line, and originally we did have it back here, and then we decided, well, we need to move it forward approximately 15 feet. So we tucked it all the way up here. And unfortunately, this scale doesn't work for you, but this is probably about 2 feet right now. So we're going to take, and it's on it is on your plans. If you actually look at sheet A1.0, and I can put it up here if you'd like me to. You can see right here, today the fence is this straight line, if you will. And we're going to actually take and curve the fence in and then come back in and join again so that we create a little bit of a walking path for us around the structure. Does that answer your question? Oh, the 3 trees will, subsequently, we've got a 20-foot setback. So this is one of the affected trees here, and there's a few others. This one is affected, and this one. So what we'll do is we'll end up moving these back here, back here. We've got some locations back here that are, to be determined, but whatever the town is requesting, we're going to comply with that. And if they ask us to plant some additional oaks, we're happy to do that also.
I have a follow-up. I'm the only one asking questions here tonight, huh? And the reason, explain to us again the reason that you decided that you didn't want to move it forward,
Okay, so to move it forward,
even any feet.
well, we did. We moved it forward 12 to 15 feet approximately. So to move it forward further, you'd have to take out tree A, and I believe if you have seen the report, I actually had a surveyor come out and they certified the height and the position of the tree. To move it forward, we would have to take the fence down, take this established hedge down, and then encroach upon this tree, be well within the drip line. I believe that, you know, in my letter to you, the DRC's findings were pretty clear on that. To get it forward, we would actually have to get into the setback approximately 10 to 11 feet. That would leave the setback at 10 feet. It's not big enough.
Thank you.
Other questions for Mr. Heimlich? Thank you very much. So normally what I would do is I would look here and I would see yellow cards for people that wanted to speak on this item, but I don't have any. Is there anyone aside? I will call you back, Mr. Aljani. Oh, you can just hand it over here. But I see a number of people on one side of the room, but no one's leaping forward to talk. So if you don't want to speak, that's fine. Mr. Aljani, you now have 3 minutes to respond to anything you've heard.
Thank you. Now, when they removed the trees, like I said, these were just planted for the establishment 4 or 5 years ago. I don't know how long exactly, but he took the paper. But what he's doing now is moving these trees again, blocking that view. I have palm trees, and they are just single stalks, and they don't block my view because they go up and you can see right past them. He's got these oaks that are very bushy. They block views, but that was established. Can't fight that. And trees, I got the trees covered. And then after the last meeting, when we agreed to put it way over here where it was supposed to, they called us back, and I went back there. We had a meeting with those two, and I said, we talked about where they wanted the 12 feet, and he wasn't clear, but he's saying 12 or 15. It says here 15, not 12. So we went back there. We looked it up. They said where it was going to be and so forth. I said, Joel, and I barely know Joel, nice neighbor, very quiet. I said, Joel, come on over to my side and come and see my view. He said, hell no. And he yelled and screamed, and he barged back into the house. I go, my yard is right there. Come on over and just take a look at my point of view. And he refused to come into my yard. Thank you. That was called being neighborly.
Any questions for Mr. Aljani? Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, I didn't get any other cards. There was no one else who got up to speak during the public comment, so I'm going to close the public portion of the hearing. And I will now look to the Commission for any additional questions they may have of staff, or hopefully a motion. Commissioner O'Donnell? I gave you the opportunity to speak and you didn't come up, so I'm just going to close it. It's closed now. Sorry. Okay. Commissioner O'Donnell?
I just want to ask staff, I think in your report you have covered it, but I'd like to cover it again. The appellant is stating that this goes against all of the things that were promised him previously, and that it somehow contravenes the town's policies. Would you speak to that?
At the time Shannon Valley Ranch plan development was approved, we did not have hillside development standards and guidelines in the current form. We had a scaled back version that was 6 or 8 pages, did not have an FAR. So floor area was restricted by the plan development. They did restrict the floor area of the houses. There was an average house size, and there was a size not to be exceeded. The garage size was established by town council at 800 square feet maximum, and the house size was 4650 and with an average of 4850. So they were held to that. The PD did not address accessory structures, so it was basically silent. It didn't disallow them, it didn't allow them. So we had the neighbor that Mr. Ajluni indicated on Mountain Laurel come in, want an accessory structure, and he decided to try to amend the plan development to allow that structure. He initially came in with just his lot in question. Greenbrier, still being involved with the development at that time, decided to join in and have the question answered for the entire project. So it went through a public hearing process, went through the Planning Commission, and went on to Town Council. Town Council approved a plan development amendment that specifically allowed accessory structures pursuant to the Hillside Development Standards and Guidelines that had been adopted in January of 2004. Most of the lots have the capability of adding, 600 to 800 square feet, somewhere in that range, for an accessory structure based on an allowance of a total of 6,400 square feet. So the applicant has come under that provision to add this 960 square foot structure, and they would not exceed 6,400 square feet total for the site. So it is in compliance with the Hillside Development Standards and Guidelines. And I was not at the first DRC hearing when they negotiated, so I can't speak to that directly. My understanding is that Mr. Angeloni expressed some concern. They had a discussion. Homeowner was not actually at that particular meeting, but they thought the contractor or the builder thought he could move the structure forward. And so it was approved in that manner. Then they took a closer look at it. The trees got looked at more carefully. The arborist was asked to go inspect the trees, and in particular, the one tree they're trying to work around was one that the arborist recommended be maintained because there wasn't a good justification to take it out. So they came back with the subsequent application at that time, which was then approved by the DRC. So I hope I've answered your question.
Other questions? If there's no other questions, is there a motion? Mr. Bourgeois.
All right, I'm going to follow the staff recommendation, and I'm going to deny the appeal and uphold the decision of the DRC. Given the history of the project and the fact that we have direction from council that the PD has been amended to allow accessory structures based on the Hillside Standards and Guidelines, everything seems to be in compliance that way. They seem to be mitigating for the tree impacts appropriately. So I'm going to move that the proposed project is categorically exempt pursuant to Section 15301 of CEQA, that the proposed project is consistent with the approved PD based on that evidence, and I can make the required considerations as required by Section 292150 of the Town Code for granting approval of an architecture and site application. I make the determination that the project is in compliance with the Hillside Development Standards and Guidelines, and therefore approve the architecture and site application S-11-057, subject to the attached conditions, which are in Exhibit 3 of our packet, and the development plans, which are Exhibit 10.
Thank you, Commissioner Bourgeois. Is there a second? Commissioner Erickson?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the table to deny the appeal and approve the project as proposed. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. So the motion passes 6-0. And there are appeal rights, correct?
Yes, this decision is appealable to the Town Council. The appeal must be filed within 10 days. There is a fee for filing an appeal, and the appeal forms are located upstairs in the town clerk's office.
Okay, thank you. And before I forget, let's consider our minutes of October 26th. From our meeting of October 26th, is there a motion regarding the minutes? Commissioner Bourgeois?
I will move to approve the minutes of October 26, 2011 as submitted.
Is there a second? Commissioner Talsfor?
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Is there a report?
Yes, I'd like to update what happened at the Town Council last Monday. There was 2 items on that agenda that was before the Planning Commission. One was the terraces at 800 Blossom Hill Road. That project, the plan development amendment was approved. And the other one was the Gateway project at 15400 Los Gatos Boulevard. That amendment for the plan development was also approved with the, I'll read what the use was, the final use that was permitted. The first floor shall contain a minimum of 8,500 square feet of retail or restaurant space in the single leg fronting on Los Gatos Boulevard unless a single tenant user occupies the entire building. But they did say that your action was correct and that it was a town policy manner. And then my last thing is just a reminder about the boards and commission meeting, which is November 28th. It starts at 6 p.m. I believe now they're looking at having it at the Police Operations Building, so just check your agenda to make sure where the meeting's going to be.
Thank you, Ms. Bailey. Are there any commission matters? And I believe, do we have a motion to adjourn? Commissioner Townsville?
I move to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Do we need that? I guess. All in favor? Aye. We're adjourned.
Did we-